Go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to ask, how do you conceive of planning to fund your campaign?
Yeah, we right now are working on building the infrastructure for digital fundraising through small donations. I'm really excited of what's been happening with Bernie's campaign and with Elizabeth Warren's campaign, that they have accessed small donor dollars. That didn't happen 15 years ago. When Bush won the presidency in 2000, small donor dollars were nowhere. You had to have big events and raise millions of dollars from rich people and big corporations. Now the tide has changed. There are organizations I will not take money from.
Are you willing to name them?
The NRA is one. The majority of pharmaceuticals, I'm not going to want to take money from either. I couldn't name them all. They're huge, but the majority of them, I'm not going to want their money.
PACs? The Heritage Foundation?
No, I don't want anything from the Heritage Foundation. Grassroots, moveon.org, helps me out. Great. Volunteers, great.
In part of your campaign literature, you say very clearly that this is not so much about Republican or Democrat. It's really much more about just doing the right thing for the people. So I don't know how you would get money from the NRA if that's your position.
Right. That's a really good point. It's a movement, what's happening in America now. We're going against what Trump brought out, which was racism, discrimination, misogyny, indecency. Our campaign is based on three primary pillars. They're family, truth, and justice. Family, truth, and justice.
So what are your next steps? What's the future looking like?
I every day spend a number of hours on the phone talking to potential constituents all around the state. So we're identifying people that think like we do and that want to support us. That's going to continue to happen for a couple of months. We're not going to do like a heavy duty press release saying that I'm running until probably really we're looking at doing it more around July or August. And part of the reason is because it's early and some people are really not thinking too much about a campaign for August 2022. Primaries in August of 2022 and the generals in November, which is only Democrats will vote for Democrats and Republicans will vote for Republicans, and they'll decide. I don't think there's a strong Republican going against Rubio, and he is running again. So he probably will get the Republican nomination, although someone may come along in the Republican Party and beat him.
He just got the Trump endorsement. Right.
Which
so the primary is August 22nd. Let's go right over that. Primary is August 22nd. The election is when?
The election's in November 2022.
November 2022. Okay.
And then as far as the campaign trail, at some point in the summer, we're hoping, especially now that most people are getting their COVID shots and hopefully the country starts becoming more comfortable with, medium-sized events. We're hoping to do a lot of that around the summer and the fall. We have spoken to Stacey Abrams' camp in Georgia, and she shared her battleground plans in Georgia, which helped Georgia tremendously turn blue. And we're hoping to do it's work, right? It's being on the ground and having a lot of volunteers and shaking hands and and getting people registered, all that. We're gonna be involved in all of that over the next year and a half. It's definitely gonna be us being out there and volunteer. I already have a group of Republicans for Will, young professionals for Will, and they're just growing. They're going to be 20 or 30 different groups that we're going to work with, that we want to empower so that they could do what I would do if I were in their community,
There seems to really be a consistent theme over and over again. Listening. That's very important to you, right? Listening across the aisle, that has not something that we've been doing, right? Politically, you'd say, listening to the other side.
Yeah, listening to the other side and listening to the people that already say, hey, I'm a Democrat, I'm gonna vote for you. Okay, great. I want your vote, but what do you really think?
Right.
We need to focus on, you know? You really think we need Medicare for all? If I talk to 1,000 people and 800 of them say we need Medicare for all, man, then I'm gonna push for Medicare for all. I'm not, I know I want universal health care. I know I want everybody to have health care, but I want to listen to people. I know it bothers me that there's millions of Americans that don't have health insurance. That really bothers me. Now, it also bothered Obama, and he passed healthcare reform, and that hasn't brought everybody under the tent of health insurance. So some things have to be fixed there. And I want to find out what it is that we need, to fix. And then we'll propose more specific policies. I like Biden's, I like what he did. One of the things that I really liked with the Rescue Act, because now it's the infrastructure part, the Rescue Act, I like that they proposed and passed $300 a month for children. So they hadn't done that in a really long time. They increased the amounts that go to poor kids so that they'll eat, so that there won't be that much hunger in America. And there's billions of dollars being earmarked for that. I really like that. And I think the idea of the infrastructure that he's proposing is a good one too, but it has to be debated. But I think it's needed. I think we do need to improve we're like 15th in the world.
The infrastructure bothers me insanely.
Too.
It is so bizarre.
Right?
It's a shame. It's a shame. There's absolutely no reason for it. One thing I was talking to Robert about, this might be off track, is when Rick Scott turned down the high speed train,
the high speed
the
rail.
rail.
Why did he turn it down? There must have been some hidden business reason for it, knowing Rick Scott. He made millions and he defrauded a lot of people making those millions.
I don't know how he's in the Senate because he defrauded a bunch of people with healthcare, correct?
Yes. And he answered like 500 times, I plead the fifth. He wouldn't even answer on his depositions. I remember that very well when he was running. I was like, how can we make this guy governor? And he protects big business. So I'm sure there was somebody that had lined his pockets that didn't want the train to take place. I just know that he acts that way. He makes decisions that way. I think it would be a good thing generally, but of course there have to be some studies and then you could really make a good decision. But I definitely think my wife and I, since my wife is Filipino, we travel in Asia, we visit her family, we stop in China. There's some infrastructure projects in China that are absolutely amazing. If we're going to continue to be the leaders of the world, we need to strengthen infrastructure. The internet's got to be accessible to everybody and really good accessibility. We have to have more accessibility, electric cars. Those are things that I think Biden's addressing right now. I think he's doing a good job of it.
Florida Power and Light has been doing a project, or was doing a project, I don't know if they still are, up North Florida, where they're building a huge range of solar wind fields. I don't know if that's still going on or not.
It is. I mean, from what I've heard, I don't know, like in the last few months, but I know that they're devoting billions of dollars to solar energy. I love that. I think we need to do more of it. I had some issues with them before the last hurricane that came through South Florida. There's a lot that they could have done. They could have done a lot more. And it caused a lot of havoc.
Going back to infrastructure, how could we in Florida not have buried power lines? A lot of people don't realize that. Most of our power lines in South Florida are not buried. Right.
And they could convert it. It just cost them too much. And that bothered me a lot with the last hurricane. I knew, and I researched that one well, that there are things that they knew ahead of time that they needed to do and they didn't do it. So I definitely won't, just because they're investing billions in solar power doesn't mean I'm just going to say, oh, they're great. There are things I know that they need to do differently.
Anything you want to share, Will?
Yeah, I want people to know that a couple of basic things about our campaign are, number one, I plan to, and our campaign plans to have the widest tent available. All Americans should feel comfortable working with us in our campaign, because we truly want to include everybody in America. Doesn't matter color, religion, sexual orientation. We want everybody to feel comfortable in our campaign, and that we're going to protect their rights to live how they want to live. And we want to encourage volunteers to come on and join us, so that, because we can't do this, I can't do it on my own. And like I said, it's not really about me. It's about things that are happening in the country, that if we let the powers that be take it in the direction that they want to, then we're going to have attacks on Congress. And we don't need to go in that direction. We need to go in the direction of healing, of inclusiveness, of the truth, which we got away from in the last 4 years. It was hard to know what was true and what wasn't when you're watching Trump speak. I think he confused people a lot. And we're going to try our best, whether we agree with something or not, to get to the truth. And it's going to be one step at a time. You know, I'm really excited. I didn't think a few months ago when I first started this that I was going to be enjoying it as much as I am. And I'll tell you why.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, because I'm meeting people from so many different walks of life that I would have never met.
Right.
You know, that I'm forced to now, as the hopeful senator of 2022 of millions of Floridians. You know, I'm now, like I said, listening, and that's helping shape, you know, the plans that we make, you know, for the state and for the country. So I really am. It's a totally different new thing for me now. And I enjoy my practice. I love helping people. It's what I've done my whole life. You know, I really think that, and as a senator, I'm going to look at doing what's right. And rather telling people, they could just look at my background. They could see what our law firm has been, like a poverty law firm, for God's sake.
That was actually going to be my question that I had for you. How, I guess, final question, as succinct as possible. How do you feel your background as an immigration lawyer, how are you going to take that into your role as a senator?
Yeah, great.
Like one thing.
Yeah, and okay. It's going to inform a lot of the decisions that I make, because as an immigration lawyer, I work mainly with populations that are scared, they're marginalized, they're discriminated against, and I've learned to do the best that I could to protect them. So from there comes, you know, not just them getting their citizenship, but healthcare. You know, and I'm looking at it through the lens of these people that are in marginalized populations. So the fact that I've been an immigration lawyer is really affecting a lot of what I do, because I generally am thinking about what's best for my clients, and not, and I hate to say it, but big law firms are thinking who can pay the most fees, you know, corporate firms. I'm looking at how I can best protect my clients. And that's the same kind of attitude I'm going to take to when push comes to shove and a decision has to be made between corporate America and poor America, I'm going with poor America.
I love that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay.
And if you want to volunteer, how do you get involved?
Sanchez for Senate. Go on the website, and we now have a Twitter, William Sanchez for Senate, Facebook, William Sanchez for Senate, and you shoot us a text, an email, and we'll be more than happy to bring you on board and get you involved.
Because I know those grassroots donations are what are very important to you.
I'm getting a lot of those $5 and $10 ones, and they're awesome. You know,
that's I think that's where
what happens. And one of the things that happens is I'm starting to notice the $5 and $10 donation oftentimes is better than the $500 and $1,000 donation, because with the $5 and $10 donation, you get people who really want to help you in the campaign. They're not just looking for business interests, for you to protect their whatever. they really, they then tend to become more volunteers.
Of course.
So,
Of
yeah.
course.
Well, that makes me feel better because I always wondered, does my measly little $5 actually help?
They are big time because you are an activist.
Thank you.
Yeah. And you will help the people that you're giving $5 to, which is worth a lot more than just $5. You're advocating. And those are the people that I want.